Hello everyone, my name's Cliff and welcome back to my channel. This is Cliff's Dark Gems. Today I'm going to be doing a little tag video and it's called How Do We Rate Our Books tag. And this was created by Novels and I was tagged by Bad is Rad and Rod Gilly. And go check out their awesome channels. Stay tuned. Okay, before we begin, I've got two things to say. First of all, our water's starting to come on, slowly but surely, after 3 days without water. So I have managed to clean up a little bit, but not completely just yet. So at least I'm grateful that soon I'm going to be able to have a shower properly, and that's actually good news. Second of all, a lot of the stuff that I've actually covered before in previous videos, especially the DNF story. And there's actually 2 videos I've done on DNF which I'll link at the end of this video, and I've also kind of commented on ratings a little bit in previous videos as well. But anyway, let's go through the prompts. There are 9 prompts. The first one says, how often do you DNF and what makes you DNF? First part of that question, I really don't DNF too often. I'll only DNF a book if I find that there's absolutely no redeeming quality, that I'm seriously not enjoying the book at all, and also if it's a very long book, it's just going to affect my mental state, it's just going to make me upset, and it might put me into a reading slump, which is often what happens if we're struggling with a book, actually just don't want to read. Then I'll just put it aside and find another book to read. Right, so that's question number 1. Prompt number 2. Do you rate books 1 star? No, I don't rate books 1 star. Those normally fall into the DNF category if I'm genuinely not enjoying the story and there's nothing about the story that is entertaining me, whether it's the characters, the themes, the plot, then I'm just going to put it aside. Not necessarily DNF it, but I might just, what you'd call, shelve it for later. If I'm in the mood, I might pick it up again at some other stage. So no, I don't give 1-star ratings. I also think, in particular with indie authors, I think it's not really fair to give a book a 1 or 2-star rating. Okay, you need to be honest, but you're really not doing them any favours because they put all that work into writing the story, and it's better to be positive, especially for a new writer. Yes, if you don't enjoy the book, just don't rate it. Don't review it, just put it aside. And I think that's healthier, and it's actually better to do that for new authors or indie authors. Okay, number 2. No, actually we're on number 3 now. What is a 2-star review for you? Okay, now this is the first time where I'll actually talk about actually giving a review. Giving a star rating, and sometimes I might just jot down why I gave a book 2 stars. 2 stars are okay. The book was okay, but something about the book turned me off. And I want to give an example, actually, for the next few stars. The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. Now, this is not a terrible story. It was okay. Written by my favorite author, but there was one thing in the story that put me off completely, and that is baseball. I know nothing about baseball. I'm not crazy about baseball. As a South African, we have different sports over here, and this was a huge part of this book, about the girl being lost in the woods, and she's trying to stay sane by talking to an imaginary baseball player. This wasn't a terrible story. A 2-star would be the first book that I actually read the whole way through. But it's a book that was okay, but it let me down in some way. So it was just okay, below par for me. That is 2 stars. Right, is a 3-star review a good book for you? Yes, this is the first time where I'm actually thinking this book has got something to offer. Whether it's the characters, the themes, whatever, the story, perhaps there are a few plot holes, Perhaps there was something about it that turned me off a little bit, and that made it a book that I didn't particularly enjoy that much, but there was something in it for me. An example of a book like that is Song of Kali by Dan Simmons. Now, Dan Simmons is a fantastic author, and most of his books I've given 4 or 5 stars. This book, set in Calcutta, a horror novel, it was a decent read. I kind of enjoyed it. There were some aspects of it though, I think when he talks about the Indian culture, that turned me off a little bit. So it was just kind of in the middle of the road for me, which is a 3-star review for me. Right, what does a 4-star review mean to you? Okay, now we're getting somewhere. This is an excellent story, a wonderful story, very, very few flaws, but it's a story that is just short of wonderful, like just short of completely unforgettable. It's an excellent story that maybe in a month's time you won't remember too much about it. At the time of reading it, it's an excellent story, but it's not something that is just going to blow you away, and a book that you might return to at a later stage for a reread, or a book that years later or even months later you remember the characters, you remember the theme, you remember how the book actually hit you right there. Good 4-star read for me was Wet Work by Philip Nutton. Very, very lesser known author. I think he only wrote this book before he passed on, but this was an excellent kind of a story with kind of a zombie outbreak. That was a lot of fun at the time. Yeah, a lot of zombies, a lot of fun. Another good example of a 4-star read would be maybe a short story collection, something like Neil Gaiman's Smoke and Mirrors. I'd very seldom give 5 stars to a collection, because generally it's a mixed bag. It would normally be 3, where it's hit and miss, or a 4-star, where most of the stories are fantastic. So yeah, it's Neil Gaiman's Smoke and Mirrors. Okay, problem number 6 says, do you give half-star ratings? Now this is a problematic thing, because I leave my ratings on Goodreads almost exclusively. I'm part of Goodreads, and they don't allow half-star ratings. In fact, for me it would make much more sense to rate a book between 1 and 10 stars. So if I find a book that's perhaps 3.5 stars, I'll always round it up to 4. I think that's probably the easiest way of doing it. But yeah, sometimes I'll use my gut feel. It might be 2.5 stars, and I think, no, this is not a 3. I'm going to give it 2. But that's very rarely the case. I'll normally take a half star and just round it up to the next number. So there might be a book that is excellent, 4.5, maybe better than a 4, and I'll round it up to 5. Actually then you should actually have a 5 and a 6, you know, the kind of top tier books that you'd put in a favourites category. So yeah, that's half stars for me. Next one, do you leave 5-star reviews very often, and what makes them worthy of a 5-star review? Now, I used to give out 5 stars a lot more often than I do now. Now a book really has to blow me away. It has to be something that is just so powerful that it leaves a mark, that you know that you're going to live these characters, that you're not going to forget about these characters. You know that the story was not just entertaining, but it actually maybe taught you something. So really this is just the upper crust. Not just a good story, but an awesome story that will stay with you. Perfect example of that, of course, is my favourite Swan Song. This novel had absolutely everything for me. Totally unforgettable characters, incredible setting, incredible story, and not just horror, a story about horror and hope. So this is basically a book this is also a book that grabs you from the beginning to the end. That's a 5-star read for you, where it doesn't kind of lull off, where you feel like you're kind of losing attention. This book is over 1,000 pages. I read it in 2.5 days. That's how good it was. So yeah, I read it over a holiday, sat down, I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to eat, I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to read this book and finish this book. 5 stars. Okay, prompt number 8. Has your method of rating changed over the years? I've only been on booktube and Goodreads for about 2 years now. So no, it hasn't really changed. When I used to read books in the past, maybe mentally I would give it a star rating, but nothing's really changed, no. And prompt number 9. Where do you record your ratings? As I said, on Goodreads. That's my go-to. I know there's a story graph thing that I've never tried out, but Goodreads is the one that I know. It's where all my books are catalogued, like my library, and so that's what I use. Right. So that was the How Do We Rate Our Books tag. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you like my content, please like and subscribe, and take care of yourselves. Keep those pages turning. Cheers.